Hi, everyone. It's Tracy with the Gather Community, and I am here with Gather Community creator Leah Allen, all the way from Pennsylvania. Leah, I'm excited to do this spotlight video for you because you have been here with us in the Gather Community for a while. It's been a few years now. And I want to make sure that we cover not only the evolution of since we met so many years ago till now, but also go back to some maybe origin story for people who don't know that from you or haven't met you yet, which seems strange, but there's got to be a few people out there who don't know who you are yet. So let's start with, how did you get started doing what you do? Describe what you do and how did you get started?
Thank you, Tracy. I'm excited to be here and I love everything you do. So, I'm always wherever you are. I call myself a relationship marketing strategist. And what that means is I teach my clients how to network and build connections that are meaningful and profitable, to be honest. My origin story, if you will, is started over 30 years ago. I know it's hard to believe, but
How's that
I was a
possible?
child when I started. No, no.
I was four.
um, I started as a secretarial service back in the day. That's what they called it. I guess you would be a VA now, but back then I had a brick and mortar business. I had an office and I was in a building where there were a lot of small businesses and they'd come and bring me documents to type for them. I would help them with events. Like I would bring my team over and we had a book signing, we had a book thing. We helped our clients wherever they needed it. Sometimes it was bookkeeping, sometimes it was typing. Whatever it was, we did it. Database management. I remember every time I walk into my office and my office manager would go, "What did you do?" Because I would sell something and I say, "Yeah, we can do it." And then I go back to the office and say, "We got to figure out how to do this." And we did. So that was how we started. And I started my business initially because I wanted to have children and I didn't want my children to be in daycare.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I thought I can do it all, right? I can have children and have a business. So that's why I started it. And initially, that actually did work. So first, I started the business, got it rocking and rolling, did really well. Then I finally started having my children. It took a long time, but the children came, and I was actually remember having a playpen in my building, and I never knew where my son was because somebody in the building was taking the playpen and having them in their office and playing with him. So he was raised in an entrepreneur. It was like the movie Friends in the building. It was a business incubator, and he was all over the place. So we had
How
a
fun.
lovely time. Fast forward, the kids are getting older. I have two of them now. I really couldn't maintain the same level of schedule. The kids needed me more. So I sold off part of my business and I just kept the consulting part and I kept my fingers in the pot. And then my son had some issues. So I ended up having to homeschool my children, which turned out to be the biggest blessing of my life. So I decided to throw myself into homeschooling like I do everything all in. And I still kept a business going on the side. So I would homeschool them, talk to business owners. I went to the library and had client meetings while my boys were on the computer at the library. I found ways to make it work because taking care of my clients was like as important to me as anything. And I really felt like even though I was embracing being a mom, I was a mom who was a business owner. And that was important to me. So my schedule revolved around my children, but I always had clients. And I can remember having a client call and we were having a Zoom call. She was in New York and I was at my office and the kids were on the computer doing their thing. And all of a sudden, my client is laughing hysterically. I'm like, I didn't say anything funny. Why is she laughing? And I look behind me. I hadn't noticed that my son had popped up. He was behind my screen. He had underwear on his head, and he was pretending to be Captain Underpants.
Yes, of course.
Yep. So I'm like, this is the story of my life. But I did it anyway. And all my clients knew that I was a mom, but I was still there to support them. So that was sort of the earlier days. Over the years, now that the kids are older, they're grown, they have a business of their own now. Now I can really focus on taking care of my clients. So
I love it. I love it. The Captain Underpants story is amazing. I will tell you my child's underpants story. It is very similar. That's so funny. Okay. So that's great. And you know what I love about that? One of the lines, one of the things that you said, the sentence that you said, not a line, was I was a mom that was a business owner. And I think that that's a really important kind of framing for, I'm sure it was really important for you. And I think it's important for a lot of people, right? A lot of us are parents. A lot of us start our businesses as parents for the same reasons. We want to spend more time with our kids, whatever that looks like for each of us. It's true for me too. That's why I started coaching, was to be able to be the parent that I wanted my kids to have since I'd lost my husband, to be able to be available to go in the classroom and go on field trips and all of those kinds of things. So I totally relate to that, and I'm sure that a lot of people listening can relate to that as well. So you started the secretarial business, et cetera, that all evolved. And I know that, like you said, your boys are in the family painting business now as well, which of course you're integrally, if that's the right word, involved with as well. And so moving from the assisting secretarial situation to what you're doing now, I'm sure it happened very organically, but tell us a little bit about what that looks like now, because even since I've known you, things have changed, not so much what you do, but a little bit of the how you do it and a little bit of how you talk about it has changed. So give us the latest and greatest description of what it means to be a relationship marketing strategist.
Well, and I think that is kind of how my story has always been, that I'm a very much go with the flow type of person, very relaxed, very easygoing. And I don't really allow life to interrupt who I am. I just try to figure out how I can fit it in. So my business has evolved. When I was doing secretarial services, but I was working closely with my clients. And I found that my niche, my sweet spot, was helping my clients find the places where they were stuck, and then helping them find the resources to get unstuck. And sometimes it was my secretarial service. Sometimes it meant bringing in a bookkeeper to help get that off their plate so they could focus on what they did brilliantly. So I became more of a consultant during that time. And one of the things I also did was some sales training, because sales was super important to me. So I learned sales through the Sandler sales system, and I loved it because it was very organic for me. I didn't feel like it was threatening, and I never liked sales, but this sales I could handle. So when I started doing sales with the clients, one of the things I heard was marketing was their issue. They knew what to say when they were in front of a customer, but they didn't know how to get the customer. So I started learning about marketing, and specifically how to get people in the door. So again, whenever I needed to know something, I just went and found it and made it work. And so what I do now, and this is kind of how it's evolved, is I have found that networking seems to be where a lot of my clients struggle. I hear it all the time. It's either feast or famine. And one of the things they do is when it's feast, they stop marketing. And then they're surprised when it's famine. It happens every single day. I have this conversation. And the truth is, you have to market every day, whether you're busy or not. And marketing doesn't mean necessarily, I think people get marketing and advertising confused. It's not the same thing. Marketing means just finding a way to get the message of what you do in front of people, so that when the time is ready, when the time is right and they're ready, they remember who you are because you're top of mind. So to me, that is the easiest way to describe it. So sometimes it's just a matter of putting a post out there of something interesting. It could be having a cup of coffee with somebody and reminding them what you do, or hearing what they do and what they need. So I call them marketing behaviors. So I teach my clients marketing behaviors, and they usually revolve around interactions with humans. So that's why I call it relationship marketing, because I believe that the fastest way to the money, the fastest way to growth, is to actually talk to people and have relationships. So that's what I teach people to do.
Sorry to laugh, because it's obviously, yes, that is the truth. But I laugh because we have to say it.
Yeah.
Right. You have to say it out loud. Look, the way you get clients is talk to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. And I think because we're in such a virtual world now, people just are forgetting that. They think, I'll just send an email and I'm like, do you know how many emails I get a day? You'll be lucky if I open my email, right?
Absolutely.
But if I get a direct message from somebody and they're asking me a question, I'm probably going to have a connect with that person.
Yeah.
If I see somebody is struggling with something, I'm going to reach out to that person. So the key is that whether you're virtual marketing or in-person marketing, it's the same. The rules have not changed, just the vehicle has changed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's all about showing up.
mm-hmm.
You know, when
And
I
being
first,
present.
yeah, when I first started coaching, so it's been 14 years now. Um, we had kind of a saying, which was be social on social media. Because, and I think it's even more important today because now social media is such a media, right?
Yeah.
I even get most of my news, honestly, from social media. We don't have news, we don't have like regular television
Mm-hmm.
because it's all the same anyway.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I want a variety of sources, I want a variety of people, and I want realness, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't want like someone reading a teleprompter. In fact, watching like news clips and someone like doing the news story, it's so frustrating to me. Like, it's so fake and talking headish that I can't even watch it. It bothers
Mm-hmm.
me. But when you think about social media, if you have a person like you or like me who's talking about their day and talking about something that they believe or something that they know or something that they teach, it's so much more real. But so that's great for the media part.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about connecting with people and having them really understand us as a person, that's where the social part comes in. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have those relationships get built. You can't
Absolutely.
just post, you have to be with people,
Exactly.
whether that's virtually or in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Okay, so beautiful. Thank you for all of that. It's such a great description of what I know you to be doing. So
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Tell us a little bit. Now, this is something that's going to last, this video will last for a while. And I know that programs come and go and all of those kinds of things, but tell us a little bit about, like, walk us through maybe a client example of how you would help someone who's struggling and they're not really sure how to find the next client.
Right. Well, one of usually what a first step after I always offer a free consult just to make sure that we're a good fit for each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen, but most of the time we can find a way to work together. And once we've decided that that's a good fit, we do it what I call a strategy session. It's a 90-minute session. I meet with them. I have a in-depth conversation, lots of questions. I get a lot of background. And then I go back to the drawing board. I start typing and figuring out, like, getting the brain dump on what I think is going to be the best approach for that client.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I am able to come up with a few tidbits to help them move forward. Some options that I offer is I have a networking boot camp. It's a 2-hour training where I literally teach you how to network, where to network, what to say when you're networking, and when to let go of a networking group that isn't working for you. So that's my networking boot camp. I have another program called Get Clients Now that I often funnel people into. That's a 3-hour training where I literally help you come up with a 28-day marketing plan, which gives you your marketing behaviors that you do for the whole month. You track it, and then at the end of the 28 days, you can either repeat, rinse and repeat, or adjust because you might be in a different phase where you need a different kind of approach and a different kind of behavior. So those are my two, like, kind of, if you will, canned programs that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I often do very personalized one-on-one stuff. So I have actually walked with people. I've gone to networking events and helped them through a networking event, like one side by side, whether it's virtual or in person, and help them navigate, give them feedback, help them feel more comfortable networking. And my latest thing that I'm working on, which I'm really excited about, is I have a client story program. And one of the things I hear all the time is that they're not getting testimonials from their clients. So they don't even know whether they're even being effective. Like, I don't know if my client likes what I do. I don't know what my client thinks. I'm like, well, did you ask them? And a lot of times they don't. They're afraid, I think, to ask.
Sure.
So, and also sometimes they'll say, well, can you give me a Google review? And some people will say yes, and they either do it or they don't do it. And then they'll get something like, oh, she was great to work with. I would highly recommend her, which is fine, especially if you get 5 stars, but it doesn't say what you did for them, and it doesn't help the next person who's looking for you.
Right.
So my job and my goal is to create an opportunity to either teach you. I have a class that I teach how to get your own client stories from your clients. But most people don't have enough time to do that. So they can pay me to get the client story. So I create a program where I literally interview your clients. You let them know I'm going to be calling. And what's really nice about this is called a third-party testimonial in a sense, because now you're not there listening to it, right? So there's no emotional attachment, and you're not begging for somebody to say nice things about you, which makes people feel uncomfortable. What I do is just say, hey, I'm here. I'm helping my client. Let's say I'm helping you, Tracy, get a story. So I'm going to interview your client, and then the client is going to feel very comfortable, hopefully, telling me what it was like to work with you. I get the before, what was happening in their business before we started working together. What did Tracy do for me that was so life-changing? And then at the end, what was the transformation? What happened? Now that you've worked with Tracy, where are you now? And would you do it again? Or what's the next level? Like, what if Tracy could help you with something, what would be the next level of working with her? By the end of this, not only do you have a nice recording that's usually about 20 minutes to a half an hour long, but you have sound bites, you have transcripts that you can pull from so that you could use it for your marketing material. And it's also sort of like a marketing focus group where you hear what people are saying, and you might even figure out where your next program comes from, because people will share what they need.
Yeah.
And the last thing that happens is it re-engages you, because you suddenly realize just what a difference you're making in people's lives. So I think, and there's actually a hidden treasure in this, is that your clients sometimes forget what you did for them, because once they're on this side of the equation, they forget how painful it was. So it's kind of nice to give them a little taste and find out what that pain was and remind them how much you did for them.
Yeah, it's not only that I would get the testimonial from them, but they would kind of revisit the journey and realize how much of a difference it made for them. And I love the end part where not only you ask them, like, what would they need next? Because we don't often say, okay, well, what do you need next? We just imagine what we think they need next and create the next thing, and maybe it'll land and maybe it won't. And then also the other part of them, like, really realizing how great it was and maybe being ready then to move on to the next thing. And what I love too is, this might not be something that happened last week. It could be 3 months ago. It could be whatever. Like, since this is a new thing that you're doing for people, I might give you a list of people who worked with me in the last year. So someone who was a year ago, like, maybe things have changed.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes I work with clients that have multiple products or multiple services. So I could interview somebody from each different area, right? And so what happens is now you've got a taste of what you're doing as a package.
Yeah.
I think it resells yourself, but it resells your client. Wow, Tracy was the bomb, man. I want to work with Tracy some more. How do I get more of Tracy, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're so funny. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And yeah, this is so beautiful. And Leah, what I want to acknowledge too is the way that all of this flows out of you in describing just shows how absolutely masterful you are at this, right? From helping people with the networking, like, those people might just be anxious and not know if they're doing the right thing, but they need the guidance and a little bit of support and a little encouragement. Or they literally are not doing anything and they need the structure of what you're putting together for them. So you're really meeting all of this variety of people wherever they are. And that's so valuable in the marketplace. I know in our Gather community, just people from in their first year of business to their 35th year of business. And there's always something that you say regarding this that is, oh yeah, that's something I could definitely use some attention on. So I love it so much. All right.
Thank you.
So we talked about your programs. We talked about what you're doing today. I think we probably need to wrap up, but let us know, like, give us your like final thoughts on what people need to know about why you're doing what you're doing.
I'm doing what I'm doing because I remember 35 years ago when I first started and feeling like a fish out of water. And I remember the terror of walking into a room full of strangers and not knowing what to say and not feeling adequate. And I don't want anybody to ever feel that. I want them to know that, well, regardless of who they are, they have something to offer, and give them the words and the strength and the preparedness so they can walk into any room and own that room.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so valuable. It's so needed. And I know that anyone listening to this can find a place in their business to say that's someplace there I need an upgrade. I should talk to Leah. So, which is why we're here. So I love it. Thank you, Leah, so much for all of this. I know we could keep talking for another hour because you're so smart, and we have, and I know we're going to talk about the whole testimonial thing, you and me, coming up soon as well, because I do really find that to be just brilliant. So I hope that anyone listening will take all of these words to heart. Listen to your friend Leah, who knows how to help you. And if you want more from her, you can find her on the Gather Community page. You can find her at lots of our events. She's very active in the Gather community. So I hope that you will come and join us, connect with Leah, find out where you're at and how she can help you move forward. And we will see you again super soon here in the Gather community. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.